A very warm good evening to all. On behalf of Vidhi Talks and Indian Law Institute, I welcome all the students, faculty members, and advocates of Punjab and Haryana High Court, my senior members of the bar, members of Vidhi Talk, members of Bar Council, and all the faculty members. On behalf of Vidhi Talks, I welcome all. Vidhi Talks is purely an academic initiative of Punjab and Haryana Bar Council, and it is a group of advocates, young advocates, who are facilitating a platform for debate, discussion, and dialogue on important legal issues. And in furtherance of that idea and in furtherance of that objective, last year in 2023, when this team was founded, we started a podcast series that covered the life of legal luminaries and judges of this Punjab and Haryana High Court only. In furtherance of that idea and furtherance of that vision, we are all gathered here for the inaugural session of Vidhi Talks discussion series that will continue in the next week also. So today we have with us Dr. Manuj Bharadwaj. We welcome you, sir, on behalf of Vidhi Talks. Dr. Manuj Bharadwaj is a distinguished international lawyer. He is an expert in international law, international trade, foreign policy. He is a strategist and a very senior domain expert in international institutions and international law. We are very delighted to be with here, sir, and thank you for accepting our notice on a very short, accepting our invitation on a very short notice. He is in Chandigarh only for one day, and he will be then leaving to Geneva, Switzerland, by the flight tomorrow only. So we requested him to give an insight about the opportunities and career opportunities that are available to young advocates in international institutions, so that we can explore something outside this territory, so that we can explore something outside the conventional legal system. That was the basic idea, so that we get to know where we can reach in these international institutions, what are the opportunities for us, how we can apply, what are the certifications required for that, so and so forth. Over the session, we'll come to learn what are the different nuances of the same. He has been working in different jurisdictions, including India, Netherlands, Poland, Germany, United States of America, and United Kingdom. Dr. Manuj was awarded a doctoral scholarship, a United Nations IPCC scholarship, and he passed out he completed his PhD, his doctorate in juridical sciences from Washington College of Law, United States of America. And we are thankful to you to be part of this gathering and for enlightening us. Sir, I would open the session for you. And in the meantime, we'll be joined by our chair for the session, the second speaker for the day, Professor Dr. Jyoti Ratan. She needs no introduction because I think half of the students sitting here I can see are her students. She's a senior professor at Punjab University, Department of Laws. She is a subject expert in international law with more than 22 published books in different fields of law. We welcome her. She'll be joining us in a short while. In the meantime, sir.
Thanks, Nirmal. Thank you very much for that very detailed introduction. And respected members of the bar, professors, dear students, faculty members from different law schools in and around Chandigarh, staff members of the High Court and Indian Law Institute, and especially the team of Vidhi Talks. So yes, I'm really thankful to the team of Vidhi Talks, and as Nirmal mentioned that this was materialized very quickly, and I would say thanks to my brother, my friend Sohi Sidhu. He's been very instrumental, very entrepreneurial in engaging with experts from different sectors. So he said we materialized this thing just in 1 hour, and I couldn't say no to him because he was so quick. The team was very nice. So I'm more than happy to be here. And I was very happy to see that ILI has a center here, because when I did my law school in Delhi, so I've been collaborating with ILI, doing events there when I was a law student. So very happy to see ILI's presence in the premises of the High Court. So one thing I just want to place on the record, because as I work with the World Trade Organization. Whatever I'm going to speak and whatever views I'm going to express, they are my own and should not be attributed to the views of the World Trade Organization or United Nations. So that's the disclaimer we have to give all the time. But yeah, I'll be more than happy to answer your questions, and very happy to see so many people coming in. So how should we go ahead, please?
I think you can speak on three basic questions that we have finalized yesterday on
Sure.
three broad topics.
Sure.
One is what are the opportunities for us as young advocates, especially in international institutions, in international law. Second, what are the specificities, what are the skill sets that are required so that we can reach there. And third is your life journey, how you ended up in this field, what has been your motivation to be in that field. So these three broad topics, please.
Absolutely. So I'll start with a mix of it.
Yes,
So
yes.
I'm not sure about the order, but first of all, what I would say is being a lawyer is a blessing, and it's a very interesting because as a lawyer you can channelize your energy, you can channelize your interest in various. I would say fields. For example, I started as a lawyer. The only affiliation I have with bar is that I'm enrolled with the Bar Council of Delhi and Bar Council of India. I've never practiced. I had the fortune of like starting my legal career not as a practitioner, but uh, with the blessings of Mr. Ram Jethmalani. And but I've never practiced with him. Even he asked me a lot of times to start the practice. But that's the only affiliation I have. But like it's very good to be back among the lawyers. So when I started way back, like 10 years before, I had this thing in mind that I'll go to a fancy law firm, will go to a big corporate office, churn a lot of money. But while I was at law school, I interned with one of the Nobel laureate in our country, Mr. Kailash Satyarthi. I mean, I've heard about United Nations, UNICEF, World Trade Organization in our civics classes in our schools back in my town, and like we all have heard about it. But what actually these international organizations do, that's what I like when I got to know about it while I interned with Mr. Kailash Satyarthi. So that's how I developed my interest in international organizations. Then. One of the conference that I organized for the lawyers in Delhi. It was an international conference on the occasion of Constitution Day. So what we did is, I think some of you must have heard of Paris Agreement. So my interest got developed in 2015 with the enactment of Paris Agreement and also the Sustainable Development Goals. So I conceptualized a panel discussion for lawyers where we invited lawyers who are working internationally from the Indian origin to talk about like how law and lawyers can play an important role in the achievement of SDGs and of these international goals.
If you can tell our viewers about SDGs, because
Absolutely.
this word is very frequently used.
Absolutely. It's a very buzz, fancy word. SDGs are nothing but Sustainable Development Goals. I'm one of the...
It's a target of United Nations.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So before, the predecessor of SDGs was MDGs, Millennium Development Goals, which very unfortunately we couldn't achieve, like the countries couldn't achieve. So then they came with SDGs. They are basically 17 goals, and 17th goal is about like partnership. So sometimes we get successful in partnership, sometimes we fail. I'm also a major supporter and at the same time also a critique of SDGs, because as a lawyer you have to think from both the side. But still, they are the motivation, and the countries are trying to do work on them. So SDGs basically help you formulate your domestic policies. So what I did was, because again SDGs came out of part of sustainable development jurisprudence, and it was the lawyers who drafted actually the SDGs draft, and those who worked at the United Nations and did all that negotiation around it with different countries so that everyone can accept them. So that's how I learned that the role of lawyers is very important when it comes to international treaties, international law, obviously, and they are involved at each and every step. So I organized a panel discussion for judges and lawyers in Delhi in a very fancy hotel, and I had to call everyone again and again that this is not something very archaic, this is very much related, you should come. It was 2015. And then I got some like-minded people. I had the fortune of meeting. There's one professional, Dr. Anirudh Rajput. He's the youngest member. I think you worked with Think India, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he was mentoring students there. So Dr. Anirudh Rajput is my mentor, and he was elected as the youngest member of the International Law Commission. So now the International Law Commission is also part of United Nations systems. It's based in Geneva. They codify the public international law. So basically, they create the international law. So that's the body, and then you get nominated and elected into that. So his involvement and his election into a UN body was a great motivation for me, and that's when I met him in 2015. So I thought, like, why not? Let's learn more about it. I got an opportunity to be in Paris when the Paris Agreement was created. Prime Minister Modi was there, and I had happened to meet a lot of international leaders. So I thought, like, this is something where I can like deep dive in and think about it. So that was like the motivation start. Now talking about the role of lawyers, and please feel free to stop me in between. Yeah. Perfect. So about the career opportunities, it's not just for the law students, lawyers, or I have we have like very senior members of the bar here. So the main thing is like knowing about the opportunities. Now United Nations systems or these intergovernmental institution system is very complex. Sometimes you won't be able to understand how even to apply for a job which is lying there, because sometimes some jobs are internal. So you need to meet people, you need to have that network on LinkedIn where you can understand like what's happening around in this scenario. Now every single organization, every single intergovernmental organization, whether it's UN, whether it's OECD is Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development. It's basically those member countries, those are part of NATO and one or two more countries. So any country or World Bank, they have a separate legal department, which is basically, I would say, a legal advisor to that particular organization. If that organization falls into a legal dispute or legal issue, that particular organization, that particular team helps out to deal with those legal issues. Now, that's the legal team. Now, legal advisor, like in-house counsels. But now, other teams, for example, at World Bank, we have this climate governance team. So even climate governance team need lawyers who can actually help draft the laws of different countries and like policies of different countries. For example, I am a trained lawyer, but I also have a master's in public policy and foreign policy with a focus on climate issues. So my legal skills combined with policy skills can be utilized, the climate policy skills can be utilized for some country to craft their domestic climate policy, and how the legal nuances will play in that, then how that's where our legal acumen will come into the picture. So it's not just like the legal department or so in World Bank we have these different vice presidency group. One group is a legal vice presidency, so which is again the in-house advisors, legal advisors for that. But every single team has a role for lawyers. But what you need to do, because when you were telling me about your background in economics, so law and economics is a very, I would say,
lethal
combination, and also very useful one for international organizations, because what we all talk about is, and what all these organizations talk about is economy, boosting the economy, and how it can, like we can do innovative solutions to boost different the economy in different way. So if you are also, like for the young friends who are planning to pursue a master's, or even if you're practicing, try to think about going into the economics aspect of it. And if you can also include data, like data science, econometrics, you'll have a like complete short chance to get into any international organization, because they need people with legal and economic skills. That's as sir said, it's a very lethal and very useful combination. So it's an overview. We'll go in detail, and because there's so much in my mind and I cannot just pour it out, but as the question comes up, I'll be more than happy to address those. There's one more thing that you said, I forgot.
I asked you whether any specialization or certification is required to
Sure.
get into these institutions or not.
That's a very good question. For United Nations, especially again for young people, we have this young professionals program. and very unfortunately India is not in the list, because that's one of the biggest problem with Indians, because Indians are overrepresented in all these international organizations. So for example, in DC, in Washington DC, if you go to 18th and H Street, there is World Bank headquarters, and then there is IMF headquarters. So if you stand between those headquarters, there's a small park. At 5 p.m. in the evening, you will feel like a government Indian office is like coming out. So we are very overrepresented, and we are also very talented. That's the reason. So we are not part of the Young Professionals program. That's again a civil services career track where you get a 5-year long contract, and the same kind of program we have in World Bank for 5 years. In WTO, they've recently started it. So WTO program is fairly new. It's just for 1-year contract. So this is the one track for young people to get into. Now all these different organizations have different qualifications and eligibility criteria, which you obviously have to go and see. Detailed education and your experience obviously matters a lot, but for entering an organization like World Bank, you need a lot of multidisciplinary activities that you have been doing, especially in the financial part of business and economics. So try to mix your legal acumen with finance or economics. That's what I'm saying. Then there are normal calls for jobs in all these organizations. You go to the portal. One very candid thing I would like to say is United Nations job portal, which is known as Inspira, is one of the most complex job portal ever made on this God's green earth, because you will never be able to understand how should I apply for it. You'll never get a call back, even like an acknowledgement. So there is a like way of drafting your application. I actually learned from one of my colleague who is he was the Director General of Interpol for South America. So he told me that how, because Interpol also is like an intergovernmental organization like you. So he actually gave me workshops way back, like 7-8 years back, to draft my application for that. So if you are interested any day, please feel free to connect me with me on LinkedIn, and I'll be more than happy to help you with that. So that's the thing. And World Bank is fairly simple. Their Young Professionals program is very, very good. I would also suggest all the young friends here to, if they have any interest of working in the international development sector, please apply for that. See the eligibility criteria. World Bank is basically so World Bank Group is the main organization, which has 5 components, which is first is IBRD, IDA. So these two combined bodies make World Bank, which is the public sector arm of World Bank Group. Then there is IFC, International Finance Corporation, which is the private sector arm of the World Bank. Then there is MIGA, which is Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, which is the investment securing agency of World Bank Group. And the 5th is ICSID. I'm sure you must have heard of it. It's the International Investment Dispute Settlement System, which is India is not a part of. So World Bank comprised of all these five organizations, and all these 5 organizations announce their jobs separately. ICSID has a lot of opportunities for young lawyers. So please feel free and reach out to their website to see that. So that's fairly, in a fair world, it's very simple and easy to say, but when it comes to the application process, it's very complex. So you need to, if you are very serious, you need to be in touch with someone who actually knows how to draft your application, and that too according to that particular organization you are applying to.
Well, that's quite magnanimous of you to offer the students how to draft, and you are they are free to reach out to you. I have 2 very important questions to you arising out of what you just elaborated. One is that you said that India is not a member of so and so. India is not young professionals. No one from India has till now been selected. So how do you view India's current engagement in international legal institutions, specifically with regard to United Nations, WTO and FAO, because they play a very important role?
Sure. So these 3 organizations are very important. When I said like they are not a member of, I would say the UN. Again, guys, please don't quote me on any of, like, don't attribute this to like I'm saying as a representative of UN, because I have to make sure that this is on record. For United Nations, the Young Professionals Program, why India is not included, there are multiple factors. First of all, because again, we are overrepresented, and UN has to see the other member countries, their representation based on geography, based on gender, based on many other factors. So India is already there, and I think one of the reasons is that you need to put funds also to create jobs. So I'm not very sure, but that's also one of the reasons that India is not putting a lot of funds to create these young professional jobs at UN or at Commonwealth Secretariat. So that's there. About ICSID, ICSID is a treaty-based organization. Why India is not a part of it? Because the rules of ICSID are said to be favorable to developed countries when it comes to investment disputes. I'm sure like people who deal with investment arbitration, investment disputes, they know about it. So it's about like our sovereignty, our own benefit. So irrespective of any government, whether it's like the previous government and central government of central administration or the current government, they feel generally that it's against developing countries. So we rather not become a part of it because it will be worthless to put more resources. So that's the thing. Now about involvement of India in international law, international governance, international development. India is the key player. We were the founding members of United Nations in 1947. We are also founding nation of World Bank. So like our participation in all these big organizations is very vital, very vibrant, and very important. I had the fortune of working with Indian embassy in Washington DC. So I've seen the length and breadth of our partnership with these international organizations. Now we have experts who are directly picked as the staff members of United Nations, and we also interact with UN and other bodies through our permanent missions. Like we have permanent mission of India in New York, which is responsible to deal with all these issues surrounding United Nations. And then we have a permanent mission in Geneva, which is again to deal with. So there are two ways of engagement. One is like direct engagement, like people like me who are working at the WTO Secretariat, and then the government nominating their career diplomats going out there and having engagement with other countries in UN. Now, about how India is doing at the world stage when it comes to international development, it's very good, I would say, because you must have seen like the G20. I was talking about, and welcome ma'am, so nice to meet you.
Thank you, sir.
We were talking about the engagement of India in international law development and international development per se. So I'm sure you must be all be aware about the G20 presidency that we had last year. And India has been seen as the leader, the big brother of Global South. Now, Global South is basically the developing countries and the underdeveloped bloc, and also the small island developing states. So we have been voicing their opinions on in General Assembly, in Security Council, and at all these organizations, even at WTO. India has taken a lead in terms of even financing many projects when it comes to international development, or especially in my area, like the climate area, through International Solar Alliance, which is an organization which is headquartered in India, and one of the first treaty-based organization that India created with France in 2015. So what International Solar Alliance is doing, it's creating technologies around solar powers to harness the power of sun as much as we can, to rule out fossil fuels as soon as possible. Now the major technology lies with China, but India through this engagement is partnering with different countries and also making them members of the ISA treaty. And the one of the biggest success was so it's not just about like bringing in money, or it's or like speaking about like how should I put it, or creating a discourse around it. It's also about like how you negotiate and channelize all these issues. So International Solar Alliance had its great success when US became a part of it, because when US joined any organization, money flows, everyone comes to that picture, especially when Trump is not the president. So that was the biggest success, and India has been seen as a leader in that. One very interesting fact I would like to say, not just the countries getting benefited from Indian government, but also the Indian government gifted a lot of solar panels for UN headquarters in New York. So they are actually helping out the place, the secretariat where we are talking about international development. So they are driving it from within. So for me, and especially at the WTO, India is engaging a lot. The permanent mission of India at WTO is very active. The ambassadors, the deputy ambassador, and other counselors are always there to not just to negotiate with their partners on trade issues or other issues, but also to engage with subject matter experts to understand what's happening there. So when I moved to Geneva on 1st of October this last year, the permanent ambassador of India to WTO, he was very kind and very gracious enough to invite me to his office to understand what my research is on. So to summarize, it's very engaging, and India is doing really great when it comes to international development.
So I think we can take 2 questions from the audience. If someone wants to ask any question, just 2 questions we'll be taking.
I have a small observation. Dr. Manuj, I'm Karan Bharatwaj. Many people thought that we are cousins when we invited.
Maybe.
In your response to the earlier question by Nirmal, you referred to LinkedIn twice. And we've seen your very active Instagram, where we've been called by Lalan Top, by Print and other people to interview you. I want that there are many youngsters also, and they are on social media. How does an active LinkedIn profile helps a lawyer? If you can, spend some time and some references about it, because now there is a book also by Akanksha Sahni, Lawyer in LinkedIn, and it is very bestseller book, and it tells how lawyers can use it. If you can throw some light on that.
Thank you for that question. I that's my very favorite topic, social media, the use of social media on that. I give almost 60% of credit of whatever I am today to social media. It's a very big statement I'm passing here. Because everything is there on the internet, every single thing. I mean, I have one day, like I'll share, like I was in the first wave of COVID, I was in Chandigarh for almost those 2.5 months. So all these conspiracy theories were going around there and here, that this happened, that happened. One day I was just like sitting nothing, doing nothing. I said like, let's burst all these conspiracy theories. I actually surfed the internet for almost 8 hours and made notes and answers of everything. So I got all my answers and questions answered. So that's what I'm saying, like everything is there. Now LinkedIn is an amazing tool. People on LinkedIn are very kind. If you write a proper message, just don't say that I want an internship or I want a job or I want you to give me a publishers, because sometimes it's about proposal writer, like book writing or anything. Just try to understand what that person is doing. For example, Nirmal is, let's see, if he's doing arbitration, what kind of arbitration is he doing? Is it like just domestic, international? Okay, if it's international, which one? Investment arbitration. So what are the problems around investment arbitration? What are the issues that India is dealing with? Because we are talking about making Indian arbitration hub from many years. So why India is not becoming an arbitration hub? So try to ignite the conversations through that, okay, Mr. Namal, nice to connect with you. I have been like keeping a track of what you are doing from last many years, and this fascinates me. And I have this view on international arbitration and the issues in that India is facing. So I'm sure no one will avoid that particular conversation, and that conversation can lend you a lot of I would say maybe a job, not job, if internship. Then if not internship or job, then at least a connection that will be useful for you, or that will be useful for you in future. So this is what I have done, and I've been engaging with Mike Bloomberg. Have you heard about him? He is one of the big philanthropists. He was the mayor of New York. I sent a message to, obviously he's not operating because he's such a big person, but I sent a very interesting message to him on LinkedIn, I think 7-8 years back. And it was around climate issues, because he's very vocal about it. He's, I think, one of the ambassadors of the United Nations Secretary General on climate. And within 2 days, I got a very robust response from his office. And he said, like, whenever you are in New York, we should meet and we should have a chat. I mean, if such a big person and if his office can get in touch with you through LinkedIn, so you just need to understand what's happening in your subject, find your experts in in those subjects and reach out to them. Same with Instagram. Instagram is also a very interesting tool apart from Reels. So try to utilize Instagram as much as you can, like LinkedIn, but please focus on LinkedIn. Everyone should have a profile on LinkedIn because opportunities are multifold and manifold. So it's very important. And again, feel free to like visit my profile, see how it's structured. I mean, I'm not saying that it's the best, world's best profile. Visit other because I'm a lawyer, so that's why I'm saying like you'll make some connection. But there are people who've been doing great on LinkedIn. Sometimes also, just don't fall into the trap of like false, I would say, greenwashing. Greenwashing is in, if you are selling a burger, I'm sure you must have heard that joke on LinkedIn that that I work in an international MNC and this time. So there are ways of presenting things. Some people talk very straightforward truth what they are doing in their field, but some people also materialize it and like create a lot of influencing. I don't know what the exact Gen Z term for it. So you have to be aware about that. And always make sure that the person who's putting that information is also available somewhere on some particular official website or that. So be very careful about that also. So yeah.
We can have two questions, sir, please.
Firstly, congratulations on finding your newfound cousin.
Absolutely.
We at the Punjab Arena High Court are very happy to facilitate that.
We have one more. We have Gautam Bhardwaj sir also.
Perfect.
Having said that, thank you for your time. I just needed to understand a couple of things.
Absolutely. So you have to keep track of all these questions because I tend to forget. So the first one is what next for me? That's a very difficult question. I have one goal in my mind which I usually don't share with a lot of people, and I've been advised not to do that. So I won't do that. But I want to be in a policy.
Manifested for you today.
Yes. So I want to be in a policy making decision, like position where I can directly influence that policy. And if I say that this is going to happen and this should be happening, I want in that particular position. There has been chances where I've been asked to step in. I cannot say that openly, but the money is not that great. So that's one barrier because, so I'll tell you guys very quickly, I'm International Civil Services Officer with World Trade Organization. That's my job. Apart from that, what I do is I have my own 3 companies. I do consultancy for international organizations like World Bank, IMF, UNCTAD, UN, you name it, and then. So in one of the companies, I have recently got a very big project of European Union. The entire climate related stuff that EU will be doing in India, I have got that. And that has been announced like by all the newspapers a day before. So it's very conflicting because the money is great when you work with these organizations, but when you have to come to a policy influencing position, you have to let it go. So I'm still deliberating on that. But hopefully with your wishes and with the blessings of elders, maybe like in 5 years, I would be in that position with money also pouring in. So that's the first. I hope I tried answering that. Second one, if you can please repeat the question.
So people in mid-career.
Mid-career, absolutely.
10, 12 years and you know.
Like
don't
somebody
have the-
intends to ask is that many of our listeners are already practicing advocates, and still there is always an arm which they intend to extend to with regard to their practice. How they can do it?
Absolutely. So for that, I think one spirit is also very important, which is being entrepreneurial. Because if you think that I am a part of a law firm or I'm a part of a company as a general counsel or in-house counsel, you won't be able to generate a network, create a network around you, which will generate a lot of work and also opportunities. So, for example, I'll give you an example of your own colleague, Mr. Suvir Sidhu. He's very entrepreneurial. What he can do is, I mean, we have been talking a lot. Apart from his practice, he's been involved in a lot of stuff, right? Now, I think he was there in the United States with a delegation or UK, and that's how you learn about opportunities. So, I also sit on the board of a India-UK legal exchange program, which is supported by the UK Parliament, Indian government, and many other law firms. So if you engage in activities like this or any entrepreneurial activities, you'll get to know about the opportunities. For example, if Mr. Bharadwaj is again practicing arbitration, what I am saying, it's very like familiar to me. So he can create a forum around it and can create a joint, I would say, task force or a council which talks about the key issues of problem with arbitration in India. Now, for example, you have me right now. I am connected with almost all the international arbitration institutions where they need people from particular jurisdictions from India to be an expert there. So to understand that opportunity, to know that opportunity, that it's lying there, because opportunity is lying in silos, but you need to grab and get into that network to understand that. For example, SIAC, the Singapore International Arbitration Center, they always are on the lookout for professionals from India because obviously because of the proximity with India. And we are bright minds. They always want you. And I mean, in not in the US because of the visa issues, but Middle East countries, for example, UAE. UAE is looking left, right, and center for Indian lawyers to come there and to help build their India practice. And if you already have a 10 to 15 years established practice in India, in Chandigarh or in Delhi, I'm sure they will prefer you. And that has happened. I have many friends and juniors who have been flying in and flying out to Dubai, and then they settled there. They are working as lawyers. They settled in Singapore. So it's about like connecting with the right network, knowing the opportunity that it's there. So, and also one more thing. In India, and I'm with all due respect, there is a lack of capacity building understanding. I have been trying to channelize this through many organizations and been organizing very important, robust capacity building programs. We actually called lawyers, like we called them and said like there will be food, there will be international expert, there will be a certificate, but still they will like most of them won't turn up, and if they turn up they'll be just there for lunch and the certificate. They'll say sir certificate bhijwa dena. So that's the problem. But where is the actual capacity building nag? It's not there. So that's why we lack on that part, and I think through forums like this, you need to channelize that capacity building. And ILI is there. I also work with one ILI, which is International Law Institute. I'm the senior advisor for India for that. It's a 75-year-old institution. 180 countries are our client. We train senior diplomats or bureaucrats of different countries. We have created constitutions of different countries. We actually redrafted the constitution of Kenya. So it's a very big organization. We do a lot of capacity building programs. So one of the delegations of that particular organization will be visiting India soon. So I have the call day after tomorrow to advise them on that. This time I'll make sure that they visit Chandigarh. They speak with you all. They speak with you through Vidhi talks, and then you can also understand the opportunities there. Also, why I said this, we at ILI, I mean, even I can say that on record, I have the authority to grant visas for people who are really interested. We don't have to go through the government. We have got a power through the government that we can sponsor visas. You just have to go to the embassy to get it stamped. There's no interview, nothing. If we have approved it, it's there. So this is something that you didn't know, right? And I'm here, I told you. So if you think of building your career, go as a scholar there, and if you are there for 1 year and if you make network, then sky's the limit.
We were not aware of this visa thing about Mr. Bharadwaj, otherwise the number would have increased 1,000.
Just one
many
question,
lawyers
we'll
would
take
have
only
been
one question from him. Then
So last question also.
Last question that was there. So apart from that, let's connect on LinkedIn for sure.
Absolutely.
And it was about diplomacy. how much part diplomacy plays in your day-to-day occupation?
Every day, that's my only thing. I never sit in my office, I go. So my work is basically to develop research on a particular issue, which is CBAM, carbon border adjustment mechanism. It's a law that EU has come up with, and India is not just India, a lot of developing countries are very terrified about it. Now the problem with CBAM is the way it has been rolled out initially, it's against developing countries. There are serious issues in that. And when I started my PhD, my whole PhD is on these issues, like CBAM is one of them. I was also a big critique of CBAM. But now when you read it, when you understand it like for 4 or 5 years, you understand what are the solutions around it, and how developing countries can benefit out of it. So in my dissertation, which is getting converted into a book by Springer, or Springer, how do we say it? And so that particular research has been perceived very well, both by developed countries and developing countries. I can say that on record. Mr. Amitabh Kant, who is the G20 Sherpa, has written a foreword for my book, and I think I'll get one more forward, but I cannot say it right now because I have the meeting tomorrow. So they understand that yes, there is a way around. So what I do at WTO is every day I go and meet at least 4 to 5 countries, the delegations. It could be ambassador, deputy ambassador, or the counselor. I go and speak about trade and climate issues, that how trade affects climate, and how climate can be also saved if we use innovation in trade, and how we can go around issues like CBAM, which will create more tariffs. It's very technical, but in terms of diplomacy, I do it daily, at least with 4 to 5 countries.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Just one question, sir.
A small query linked to your earlier response. You mentioned that India is not a part of many programs like the Young Professional Program.
Gee.
Does that work as a disadvantage to anybody originating from India or not?
Yes, sir, absolutely. And we have been, and thanks for asking that. We have been voicing this again and again to the government of India and also at the UN that, I mean, the reasoning, the rationale that they give is like you are overrepresented. So my independent rationale is like if Sachin Tendulkar is playing and making 100, or Virat Kohli is making 100 in every test or like cricket match, then you will drop him because you are performing again and again, yet and we are giving you like position. I mean, people who have the knowledge, who understand the work, they should be given priority over the people just I mean, I'll be controversial on that, just on the base of like your country and let's not go into that. But yeah, that's very it's a disadvantage to our Indian youth. But again, there are many opportunities. For example, there are many consulting firms which do work with these international organizations as contractors. So you can be an employee of that particular contractor and can work with international organization. You can get that exposure, and later in your career you can like apply for a direct position there. But yes, so India is a part of like Indian citizens are allowed to participate in World Bank Young Professionals Program, but not in the UN Young Professionals Program.
We'll now have the chair remarks. We have with us Professor Dr. Jyoti Ratan. She'll be talking on 2 themes basically, as we have requested her. One is the opportunities that lie down for young advocates in the field of international law, so that we can explore something beyond this conventional legal litigation system. Second question is on the relevance itself of the international institutions, that whether in today's geopolitical scenario, these international institutions are of relevance or not. So at one point, it is an antithesis kind of thing. So ma'am, please.
Esteemed Dr. Manuj Bharadwaj, Permanent Ambassador to WTO from India, organizers, Advocate Nirmal is there, Kshit is there, and their team, and August gathering. I'm really thankful to Vidhi Talks and Indian Law Institute for giving me this opportunity to interact with this August gathering. Yes, I have been given 2 issues. One is relevance of international and institutions and opportunity for young lawyers. So far as first point is concerned, I think Dr. Manuj Bhardwaj, he beautifully explained, talked about social media. Friends, we all know that information communication technologies, internet and social media has totally changed the entire scenario. Entire world has been converted into a small village. And in this small village today, living without knowledge of international law, especially for advocates, especially for law students like me, it's difficult for us. Gone are the days when students used to think, law students used to think, that knowledge of national law is sufficient. No. Today it is impossible to survive without having knowledge of international law. Because we all know what happens in one country, impact is seen in entire globe. If something is happening here, Russia-Ukraine conflict, this conflict, that, or any other, COVID-19 started there, and if impact is seen all over the globe. So today, without having knowledge of international law, it's really tough to survive, especially to law students. Friends, we all know that in this cyberspace, in this virtual world, in this small village, because physical boundaries have disappeared, and we use the concept anyone, any person, anytime, anywhere. So therefore, international law is utmost important. See, the modern international law, if we talk about, its growth and development started after Second World War. Today, we have United Nations and various other institutions for maintaining international peace. Ultimate aim with which these international institutions are established, aim is maintaining international peace and security. For this, we have United Nations, especially United Nations Security Council is there, which has been given this responsibility of maintaining peace and security. And if we talk about conflicts, yes, some power are given to Security Council for maintaining peace, but at times it fails. And we all know that what is the reason? Veto power, 5 permanent members, these are the small problems which we are having at international level. But that does not mean that it has completely failed. It has worked very hard. It has played commendable role in maintaining peace and security. Ultimately, we generally talk about peaceful settlement of disputes. Whenever conflict arises, we need to have peaceful settlement of dispute, and for that, we have main judicial system. Judicial settlement is 2 bodies, we generally say, ICJ and International Criminal Court. So far as Dr. Bhardwaj is concerned, he was emphasizing on arbitration, arbitration, and arbitration. Yes, dear friends, today, we at international level, we give importance to arbitration. Whenever endless treaties we have adopted, in every treaty, whether it is a sea treaty, whether it is an aircraft treaty, whether it is any other treaty, maybe relating to ICTs, information communication technology, everywhere, one clause is, which generally I find is, whenever there is a dispute, go for arbitration first. Go for peaceful negotiation, go for arbitration first, and then judicial settlement. So these are the important bodies at the international level for maintaining peace. Very important here, friends, whenever we talk about peace, does peace mean absence of war and armed conflict? No. It includes more than that. It includes social, economic, political development at global level. And for that, we do have various areas. That is international human rights, international humanitarian law, public health, work and labor, environment development. We have these days information technology, cyber laws, environment, and very important is IPRs. For every area, we have different laws. We have different institutions. For example, if I talk about international human rights, we have at international level, International Bill on Human Rights. And main institution which is working in this area is Human Rights Council, Office of High Commissioners on Human Rights, where various treaty bodies we do have. If I talk about public health, who is not aware of COVID-19? Who is not aware of WHO guidelines? It issued from time to time. And if we talk about work and labor, I think who is not aware of ILO, International Labour Organizations? All laws which we are studying here in India, they are, I think, in tune with international law, that is international treaties, especially if I talk about work and labor, ILO's conventions, they are ratified and implemented in India so that Indian law is in tune with international law. If I talk about information and communication technologies, friends, this is a new concept. And at international level, we have various commissions. United Nations Commission on International Trade Law, which is working in this regard, which is creating law, which this law acts as a model law for all other countries to make their state laws in tune with those laws. And if I talk about environment, UNEP is there. Environment program is there at international level, which is taking care for this issue. And upcoming field, intellectual property rights. So many treaties we do have. And then we have WIPO, that is World Intellectual Property Organization, which is the main body for creating laws in this regard. Friends, globalization, ICTs, and internet, social media, these have created new challenges for us today. And one such main challenge here is, we'll talk about various challenges. One such challenge here is online data protection and privacy. I think we are all aware of this problem which everyone, not only in India, but all over the globe is facing. Data protection, online data protection and privacy. Cyber crimes. We have never heard these concepts, cyber crimes. These are new challenges. Then we have IPR disputes. Then we have, yes, latest, artificial intelligence, especially the challenges posed by artificial intelligence to IPRs. Have you ever heard the patent, the design created by artificial intelligence? And if it has been created by artificial intelligence app, who would be the owner of that creative work? These are the new problems which we are facing. Person in US sitting there, he has created this artificial intelligence app, and this app has created some design, that is industrial design, or it has created an invention which is a patentable, and he is applying that this app should be considered as owner for this creative work. So these are the big challenges which we are facing today. Terrorism, yes, and new concept is cyber terrorism. And climate change, of course, we have already talked about. And then COVID-19, these are the biggest problems which we are facing today. And dear friends, what I would like to highlight here is that these challenges cannot be tackled by nations separately. For them, we need to have strong international law. We need to have strong international institutions. We need to have strong collaboration, cooperation with each other. Had China stopped that virus there and then only, had it started international warning that time, had it stopped the international flights that time, I think COVID would not have spread all over the globe. That is the duties, cooperation, coordination, which is required at international level for maintaining peace and security. And in this scenario, what is important here is importance of international law is increasing. Importance of international institution is increasing. And role of young advocates is important in such scenario. So friends, if I talk about what are the opportunities which young advocates have in the field of international law and in international institution, I wish I could have PPT and I could display a PPT here, and so that it would be easier for them to understand. I worked very hard, but then you would, doesn't matter, maybe next time. So friends, the young advocates, we have various opportunities at international level. For example, if I talk about United Nations and their agencies, institutions, every institution is making its own law. They are preparing, they are drafting treaties. And who can do better than young advocates? They need young advocates. They need people having knowledge of law. This is not only United Nations. There are so many institutions within United Nations. For example, if I talk about United Nations Commissioners of Refugees, for example, this WIPO, for example, World Trade Organization, WIPO. If I talk about WIPO, domain name dispute, very common these days. Domain name disputes and resolutions. WIPO has started its own arbitration center. In these arbitration center, young lawyers young advocates, law students are required. WTO. Everywhere these young advocates, I'm not saying advocates, I'll say law student. Student having knowledge of law is required. World Bank is another is such institution. Friends, what I have seen today is that in all these, if we have to go for the litigation at international level, what is requirement? What is qualification? Qualification is the qualification which you need for becoming advocate in your country. That means what? All of you are eligible. All of you are eligible. You need, question is just to search this, where are the vacancies and where you can fit in. Then another here is, these are United Nations institutions. ICJ, ICC, always there. Though judges, we need the experienced people. You may not be for young lawyers, but so far as public prosecutors, advocates, I think we have some students, my students is there in Hague, in ICJ. They are acting as one is advocate and one is in public prosecutor in ICC. So this is a matter of pride for us that Punjab University, our alumni are doing well everywhere. Then of course international arbitration tribunals, they are there everywhere. You people are eligible there. Very important here is another opportunity which I feel is very important is international IP agent. Whether it is in copyright, whether it is patent, whether it is trademark, whether it is industrial design, whether it is geographical indication. Everywhere today, this is an upcoming field. They are IP, international IP agents we call them. This is not that they are only involved in litigation. You can act as a advisor, legal advisor to the corporates, to the startups. Young IIT mind, he is bright student, he is a creative person, he has created software, he has created new design, but he does not know how to get legal protection. He needs you badly. He needs you badly to assist him, to widen his legal horizon. That how to get more IPR protections. As a law student, you can assist them that which IPR, they don't know how to file the IPR. They don't know which IPR is to be filed, whether you have to go for industrial design, whether you have to go for patent registration, whether you have to go for trademark registration. So you are there to assist them. You are there to help them. So this is another, and ultimately there is question of IP infringement. And of course, as an advocate, you are there to assist them. Then another opportunity which you can grab is cyber law and artificial intelligence advocates. Yes, friends, I think probably you all are aware of cyber law issues which we are facing these days. ATM frauds, everybody knows. Cyber attacks, yes. So these are the issues which can be handled only by young minds. I think probably when I started, yes, this is quite interesting. When I started long back in 2004, when I started teaching cyber law, there was a term cyber terrorism. And the one question which came to my mind, what is a cyber terrorism? I thought a person sitting in China or sitting in Pakistan with his some computer or some machine, he is pressing the button and bomb is blasting in India. This was my knowledge of cyber law, cyber terrorism. Because I am a fourth generation. You young people, you are born in technology. You have knowledge of cyber law. You have knowledge of technology. You can handle these problems very easily. Am I right, friends? I always feel there is a gap between my generation and young students. Right? You can handle. So as cyber law and artificial intelligence advocates, IIT student, he is expert in creating that, what we call as app. Artificial app, but he does not understand how he is violating the rights of other person. Chat GPT, how it is coming, every data is coming, and from where that creator of that app has collected the data, he never took the consent of the owner of the data.
Recent civil suits by newspapers against ChatGPT in America and India also.
Young minds can tell these companies that, look, before you collect this data, you create this app, you need to take the consent from other person, legal advisor, legal expert. Am I right, friends? So this is, see, IITs, they are creative people, they are creative, they are creating softwares, they are creating apps, but they need to be advised by law students that yes, whenever you are creating this app which is getting the data from other persons or other institution, you need to take the consent of other person, otherwise it would be violation of law. So I don't think there is any field which can survive without assistance of law students, and we call it digital data protection advocates. Digital data protection advocates. Think of bank, think of your hospitals, think of any corporate body. You are interacting with these bodies, you are giving your data, they are preparing database. How to use this database? They don't know. It is your duty. It is opportunity for you to assist them that this is the law, how to use this data. That it should not be, it has to be with the consent. It should not be, think of a situation that you have given your data to any hospital or any bank, and that without following the norms, that is leaked by that body corporate, thus resulting harm to you, to the owner of data. Yeah, this has become the biggest problem, and unfortunately, even the United Nations or at any body under international law has not created any norms with regard to data protection, except European Union, if I'm not wrong. European Union data protection regulation they have created in 2018, and we are also very fortunate that India has enacted DPDP Act in 2023, but unfortunately, notification has not been issued to bring it in force. So friends, I would say that young advocates, they have a lot of opportunities at international level. It's not that only you have to go for litigation only, legal advisors. Every field, everywhere you are required. Only need of the hour is that you have to explore the possibilities. Where are the vacancies? Where is my interest? Whether I can go for IPS, whether I can go for data protection, whether I can go for WIPO arbitration center for settlement of dispute or this or that. So considering your interest, opportunities are endless. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, thank you very much for that holistic overview of everything. It's very robust presentation. I'm sure they would have benefited if it's on PPT, but that's like you did a very amazing job. So thank you for that. And just, I mean, you actually gave me a very big honor, and I hope one day it happens. But I mean, you mentioned that I'm the permanent ambassador of India to WTO. I am not.
That is manifestation.
Yes, exactly.
Future.
Absolutely.
Near
Thank you.
future.
Thank you
Near
so much for
future.
that. I don't.
Today I'll
repres-
correct myself, but I pray and wish.
No, absolutely, ma'am. Maybe like has to happen and come out from your mouth. So I don't represent India. I work directly for WTO.
Okay.
So just a clarification on that. What you said, ma'am, I just want to give a quick info about that. Like, so my area of work is, as Nirmal said in starting, is climate, international trade, foreign policy, geopolitics. But now what I'm doing is part of foreign policy and my expanding interest. I am focusing on AI, as ma'am said, cybersecurity and data privacy. I've been doing a lot of work with in data privacy area since my law school days, but because I was fully focused on trade and climate, so that took a backseat. But now again, so give me one country which is leader in all three areas. Just one country. You don't have to tell. Just quickly, one country which is like the leader in all these issues. I hope so. Israel. You know what they did and what they do. So, what ma'am said, like it's very important coordination at global level. What we call in our language is multilateralism, and multilateralism has been helping out countries with lots of issues. Now multilateralism is fading and failing a lot, but there is a need to revamp it. As our honorable external affairs minister said, that it is like colonial mindset of like dealing with multilateralism. So we need to look out for global south, for developing underdeveloped and small island developing states. So multilateralism has to be strengthened, which is declining. Now, very quickly on what we're doing is, so yesterday I was sitting with a very senior Israeli diplomat for 2 hours, and I was talking about AI, data privacy, and cyber law. So for AI, there is an organization, not organization, this is an initiative by 29 countries, which is known as GPAI, Global Partnership Alliance on AI, which was initiated by Canada and France. This initiative is an intergovernmental initiative headquartered or housed at OECD, the organization I mentioned, which is in Paris. So that Israeli diplomat, she's a great friend of mine. She is the lead for India for that particular initiative. So they are doing capacity building programs, and in association of GPAI and an organization which I am the executive secretary of is Indian National Association of Legal Professionals. We'll be doing capacity building programs for young law students and young lawyers on AI, and why not this forum. So we'll bring people from GPAI, the leads, to speak with you on AI. So that's the organization to look out, GPAI at OECD. For data privacy, as ma'am rightly mentioned, the DPDP Act 2023, now the rules have just come in. I had the fortune of working with the Joint Parliamentary Committee in 2019 when this was initiated, the data protection bill with Meenakshi Lekhiji. And now the government has released invited proposals on the DPDP rules. I'm planning before I leave for Geneva for a roundtable conference again with my organization and Israel Embassy to hold a discussion around the DPDP rules and send a recommendation or a proposal to the government like how we can improve that. So that's on data privacy, data protection. Also, one more organization to look out on data privacy issues, IAPP, International Association of Privacy Professionals. It's the biggest organization in the world. They provide certifications on data privacy. Third, cyber law. We are obviously closely gonna partner with Israel Embassy on that, and I mean they are leader on cyber. I mean that's something we are still exploring. So I think I covered AI, data privacy, cyber law with Israel Embassy, IAPP, GPI, and ma'am talked about IP infringement, IP brand protection. We call it like overall brand protection. I was sitting with the MD of one of the biggest companies in India, Netrika Consulting, which is doing work on IP brand infringement, brand protection, and they are always hiring people. So if you have interest in IP brand protection and you have knack for that, please feel free to see their website, Netrika Consulting India Private Limited. So yeah, that's all. And I am also trying to enhance my knowledge in these fields. So I hope I gave you like a quick overview of all these things. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would like to thank both the speakers and the chair for today's session for joining us and for enlightening us and giving their insightful views and giving us an opportunity to explore beyond this courtroom. I think Chandigarh is one of Punjab and Haryana High Court in Chandigarh is one of the high courts which has a very large base of I would say enlightening minds in the country. So it is indeed a great opportunity for us. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Great opportunity
thank
for
you,
me.
Manuj sir, and thanks to all the senior members of the bar who came today here. I would like to thank Mr. Karan sir, who is always a backbone to us. Mr. Suvir Sidhu, he is member Bar Council of India.
There's a lot of manifestation going around, so Suvir soon has to do a PhD.
So I would like to thank him for being the person behind organizing this, and I would like to extend an invitation to all for the upcoming group discussions and discussion series of Vidhi Talks to be held on 15th, 16th and 17th of January. Very much thanks. Anything you would like?
Two important commitments, because whenever I go and speak about, I just don't want to.
Vidhi Talks got
So you don't need mic, we can
Yeah.
talk like that only. I think that is interrupting.
Absolutely, yeah. So two commitments I'm making here. So the International Law Institute delegation will be visiting India very soon. I'll make sure that the delegation, I'm not sure whether I'll be here, they will visit the High Court or like however we are going to channelize that. So that's going to happen. You'll learn a lot from those people, a lot of opportunities, especially because we are an organization with headquarters in Washington, D.C. with offices in 10 different countries and maybe soon in India, but I cannot confirm that now. Second thing, for sure I'll be bringing my friend from Israeli embassy through the GPay AI to talk about artificial intelligence and cyber security and AI. Data privacy, a combined package of that. So two things I can commit.
So
That's all.
Vidhi Talks is in a surplus today.
Yes.
After today's session.
Absolutely.
So we have two more opportunities.
Great. And thank you so much for patient hearing, and thank you for being here. Thank you very
Please enjoy your coffee.
much. If you have any question or
Yes, we
anything
can
you want to like get into,
it's an
very
open house
informal.
Floor
now.
is open to all if you want
We
to.
can have an
interact.
informal discussion.
Any questions? Somebody from. Yes, please. You were having a lot of notes. I was examining it. Please.
So my question to both of you is biological warfare a potential threat, or and are there any laws on it till now?
Come on, ma'am. You're being modest. So see, for me, like my personal view, again, not the views of WT and UN. So sorry, I have to say that again and again. The biological warfare is going on, and from that 8 hours of research that I did in COVID in Chandigarh, please sit. I think a neighbor of ours has a lot of viruses already stored, and whenever they want to disrupt, and I'll give you an analogy behind this. So Trump has been targeting China and all the other countries with tariff, but one of the biggest target is China, right? Now China obviously wants to see, now the President Carter has died recently, so already there is like a less charm of the new presidency coming in, and China also want to like shackle the presidency, because if there is a global outbreak or even like there is a rumor of global outbreak, you have to first focus on that. And Trump presidency was there when the COVID actually started, and he failed actually. So that's one of my I would say the things like I have deduced after reading a lot. That could be one thing. And in terms of biological warfare, I don't think there is a law specifically. There is a coordination and collaboration needed from all the countries under a good faith that okay, if something is happening, you need to notify WHO, and then WHO will notify that. Then there is a lot of criticism happening around since COVID times and before also. So there's no particular answer to that, like a law is there, but more coordination, collaboration, and multilateralism has to be successful to stop issues like that.
I think she wants to add something.
Technology is a new concept. In 1990s, it was a new concept. People knew that how to use technology, how to misuse technology. But there was no law to regulate it, right? We started formulating law, we started thinking of creating or adopting law at international level when situation arose, right? 1990s, late 1990s, we adopted a model law so that all the countries can enact their law to in tune with that model law, right? So whenever, what is nutshell is, whenever situation arises, whenever problem comes, new problem especially, then we start thinking of adopting or creating new laws. Same is the case for biological warfare. This is a new concept, right? This new concept is there, but we never thought, we never heard about this new concept. But at international level, this now we are thinking that there is a need to adopt some laws. So negotiation, coordination, cooperation, they are going on. And but then presently we don't have any law in this regard. So soon I think, like technology, we created laws. Soon after this problem, I think we should go for discussion and we should create a law at international level and at national level so that we can handle this situation beautifully.
Thank you.
But presently there is no law, if I'm not wrong.
We have one question. Yes.
I have a
Sakshi.
question.
Yes.
Dr. Jyotirath ma'am was talking about the COVID-19, that outbreak from China, and it spread worldwide. So now China is here with the another virus. We have gone through, we have experienced the COVID-19. Now there's a new virus going on. Is WTO ready for it? WHO is ready. WHO ready for it? That earlier also there rumors, like you were talking about, that China was able to manage the WHO, and it has nowhere condemned China over it, and no, there were things that countries were demanding compensation from China as well,
Yes.
being solely responsible for this outbreak, and now also, and my question is precisely that, are we ready now to impose any sanctions on China or any way which it can stop or check on China?
It's a beautiful question you have raised. Sanction on China. Dear friend, 5 permanent members, veto power, necessary evil. What has, I think you have got my answer. You have got my answer. Sanction can be, at international level, why this Russia-Ukraine conflict is still going on?
Veto power of Russia.
What was the reason? Rwanda, Yugoslavia, immediate action was taken by United Nations Security Council to solve the problem and to maintain international peace and security. And what is the reason why action could not be taken against Russia? Veto power. International law is a law, but it's weak law. There are various weaknesses. Veto power is one of them. Sanction, power, power of Security Council to impose sanction. It is affected because of veto power. China being the permanent member, can you ever think any sanction can be imposed by Security Council against China? Never. Never. If the wrongdoer is Russia, if wrongdoer is China, your wrongdoer is USA, wrongdoer is any other permanent member, no action can ever be taken. This is the biggest drawback of international law. Am I right, friend? So, we have to solve the problem considering the political interest of these 5 permanent members. If they have political interest, no action can be taken. We have to survive like this. But if they have no political interest, immediate action is taken at international level. And they say, yes, for maintaining peace, we took action under Chapter 7 of UN Charter. So this is this.
Ma'am, so can we say that UNO UNO in today's world has become obsolete?
No, I won't agree with you. Uh, dear friend,
We are talking
If-
about jobs with UN.
just a minute, just a minute, just a minute, just a minute, just a minute. World War One. League of Nations was child of World War One. It failed, and failure we all know. World War Two, and World War Two, United Nations we established. Biggest success of UNO is no third world war. It is working in right direction, right? But unfortunately, there are certain weaknesses. We say it has failed to some extent, but it has not failed completely. It has failed in those cases where the interest of 5 permanent members is involved. But in other cases, yes, maintaining international peace and security. Today, we have so many laws, so many institutions. We are maintaining international peace and security, right? Credit goes to United Nations for this peace, but there is no third world war. It has not failed completely.
Absolutely, ma'am.
Ji, sir.
I can agree with you on that. I usually say this shairi kind of thing that I hope I don't forget it. जग में अमन के वास्ते बना है UNO. जग में अमन के वास्ते बना है UNO. USA की U है इसमें, बाकी सबकी no ही no. So what ma'am said, like the veto part, because obviously, I mean,
Biggest drawback.
you're hosted on the banks of which Brooklyn River, or I forgot which river, but you are in USA, so there's a lot of control over that. See, UN again, what ma'am has said is completely right. It's declining. It's not failed. It's declining.
Yes.
As Dr. Jaishankar says again and again, that we need to rethink it. We cannot just escape out of multilateralism and say we won't work together. The world would fail, and that was like World War One and World War Two was the result of that. So there is a need of rethinking it, and just to include new members in the permanent council.
Permanent membership.
There's a complete reimagining, redesigning, re-infrastructuring of all these organizations which can take decision or which can like put sanctions on different countries, like all the violators. Now you said, like, if WHO is whether WHO is ready or not. When we are outside, what we see is like WHO or WTO are the organization which can like quickly solve the problem, trade issues or medical issues or any health issues. Now the thing is, WHO or WTO, and for matter any other international organization, treaty based or membership driven, they are just the venue for the member to come together and to discuss that issues and to channelize that issue properly and to solve that and to agree on something where not everyone is happy and not everyone is sad. So like a medium ground where everyone can settle their disputes. Now WHO is like a body where the member countries and the country offices will send the data. Now if your health ministry is not coordinating with the WHO office, which is like a representative office of your own created organization, how the WHO country office will send data to WHO headquarters and how it will disseminate in all the countries. So it's up to the countries that how transparent, how true are they when it comes to like health issues like spreading of a virus or not. They just always want to contain, and there are many theories, many conspiracy theory why they want to do it and why they don't want to do it. Same is with WTO. WTO came out of GATT, right? General Agreements on Tariffs and Trade. Now people think that WTO is basically what a trade court, where you can go with your dispute with other country and say that Judge Saab, this is my issue, and like resolve it. Now WTO's dispute settlement system is broken again because of the member countries, especially because of US and Trump's last presidency, and also it's not gonna work even in the second presidency. And also the DG of WTO has been re-elected. She has been saying again and again that we want more participation and more appreciation of the WTO multilateral trading system from the governments, otherwise it will fail. But still WTO is a forum where at least all of the member countries can come together. It's just a secretariat. It's like a administrative body which is like helping you out with research. For example, I'm helping out countries to understand the issues if they don't have that expertise or don't have that understanding of particular issues. We are providing them resources. We are archives for that. We are a administrative, I would say, office. but we cannot channelize our own agenda. I mean, DG can say that, and she's been instrumental in talking about climate and trade, AI and trade, MSMEs and trade, gender, women in trade. But at the end of the day, the money, the things to move all these agendas has to come out from the countries, member countries. And that's why it creates issues. So for this, I have also given a solution that multilateralism is good. Why don't we collaborate on regional level? Because European Union, ASEAN, they are two very amazing examples of EFTA, European Free Trade Association. They are amazing examples of regional coordination, whether it's on trade, whether it's on anything. Like EU is the most robust regional cooperation. We had SARC. SARC failed like anything because of many reasons, geopolitical reasons. But to coordinate and partner at lower level and to like, so for example, bottom-up approach, not trickling down of the issues just from the top and coming down to bottom. So if we create regional policies, like for example, for SARC countries, it would be easy to agree on some policies because of the, for example, if it's environment, the environment of the South Asia is similar in almost all the countries. So rather than going to a bigger forum to discuss it regionally, and then you can pitch it to the multilateral world where other countries with similar kind of position can apply that. For example, this has happened with the UPI. Every year at World Bank, when they do the annual meetings, spring meetings, there's always an interest in UPI by one or the other country which has a large population, whether in Africa or Latin America, and they are ready to use that solution. So we have been a leader in that. So, yes.
Sir, is there any opportunity for, like, I might have missed that, for the practicing lawyers like us, who we can manage our practice also, and we can interact in, we can go in for the international laws in the international forums?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to be honest, like again, I said, like on LinkedIn, if you see that I have been invited for this and this conference. UN conferences are all open, no registration fees required, nothing. The only thing is you have to take care of your money and travel. Yeah. So that's the thing. So, but like it's all open. If you are interested in WTO, the WTO's biggest open conferences, WTO Public Forum. All these organizations do that, but it's just like they don't charge fees, they don't provide anything. I mean, then there are sponsors, there are bodies who are in consultative status with UN or WTO. They can sponsor you if they like your work or if you're coordinating with them. So that's why I'm saying it's very important to be part of these interesting organizations, bodies and forums where they can like put you in touch with or can send you for these kind of conferences. Sorry, sir? Absolutely. I'll give you.
Has also been there.
He recently, last month, he was at one of the
There
programs.
are certain institutions, yes.
Okay. Okay. I can give you a very like live example. My little brother Agam is sitting here. Agam, if you can say hi to everyone. So as a part of our organization, Indian National Association of Legal Professionals, we have been taking delegations of young lawyers and students to different countries. He was selected as a part of very challenging selection program from many students. So he joined us in a delegation that we took to US. And it's like heavily subsidized because we partner with law firms in US and in India. They provide the funding for students. So it's like you will pay for 25 days. He just paid like 2 lakh maximum, and everything is covered in that. So which is, I mean, is very subsidized. So these kind of opportunities can help you understand what's actually going on. So he sat with the judges of the Supreme Court and got all these opportunities. So be a part of these organizations. We can have sometimes fully funded opportunities for 2-3 students also, and lawyers also.
High Court or VD Talks can also collaborate with you. We can also send lawyers over there.
Absolutely. And I mean, so Veer is already doing that fantastically. So why not?
So we have a third assignment on the list.
It is always better to have collaboration with those institutions which can provide proper funding, because recently I visited Western Sydney University and University of Queensland as a representative of Punjab University, maybe for exchange program or for visiting faculty. I was so keen that my student should go on exchange program to learn culture, law, everything. But unfortunately they said that it has to be at your on the basis of your funding, that you fund for staying, for traveling, everything. So I don't think it is possible for us, for my students, to go there for 1 week or 6 months, maybe for exchange program. So institution should be such which should provide
Funding.
at least proper funding, so that it is easy for our students to go there, students or advocates. Because
programs to programs also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So things there is
I have something in my mind which I forgot. Let me ask you very quickly and give me answer very quickly. Who all is interested in AI, cyber, and data privacy? Don't regret it later. Okay. So yesterday, while I was discussing that with my friend from Israeli embassy, we are going to launch a exchange program for Indian lawyers and law students to go to Israel, and then Israeli students and lawyers to come here
That
to
would be
talk on
wonderful.
these issues. And that will be like again
subsidized,
very heavily funded because we'll be taking care of that.
that would be.
So
Fourth on the list. So we'll call it a day, and because it's already 6.
oh, it's very safe. I am ready to. I said like send me. It's very safe. Israel is
We're
always
not
safe.
going to Palestine.
So a very thanks and good evening to all. Thanks to all for joining us on this session, and I hope you enjoyed your samosas and coffee. Thank you so much.